First is Rose Antoinette Gilbert from Otago. Rose Antoinette, tell us a bit about yourself. Where were you born? Where are you from? What's your family history?
Well, I was actually born in Tavistock in Devonshire, over the sea and yonder back in England, to an English father and an Irish mother who had met each other at university in Northern Ireland. We emigrated out here to New Zealand when I was 6 years old and officially came over to stay when I was 7. That's that part of that story.
Very good. Now, I'm one of 8, you're one of 9. Where did you fit in the batting order?
Eldest female, second eldest child. However, as you know, eldest female does, it's almost equal rank to eldest son. It's just a different kind of role. It sort of comes with nappy changing skills at 1.5 years old. You learn to dress yourself pretty quick and you learn to feed yourself pretty quick because you've got to look after the others as well.
Be early at the dinner table.
Yes.
Now tell us about all of your Irish connections.
Well, my mother is Irish, so I could stop there, but that would be horribly boring. My mother over there is Mary Therese, maiden name Caraher, and she is from Portrush in County Antrim, and so was her mother's family, the McNallys. The McNallys, they were quite a big family in Portrush, and I've been very privileged to know them, but I'm also very privileged to be related to them. One such lady was my nana, and she was a nurse, and I miss her, obviously, but she was an amazing woman who I only remember as a child, but the more I hear about the life that she led, the courage that she had, and the work that she did, I can't help but be proud to be her granddaughter. So there's that heritage. There's also an amazing auntie who reached the ripe old age of 102, great-grand Auntie May, and she could tell us stories of rolling down the main street in the Home Guard with a gun in the mud, watching out for the Russians to come and invade Portrush, which they never did. But they're great stories.
Very good.
Yeah.
So you're a registered nurse, you're an RN in neonatal care. What does that involve?
Well, it's quite a big field. Everyone thinks when we say neonates we mean premature babies, and we definitely do. But any child, as soon as they're born, is classed as a neonate. So whether your child is term, preterm or post-term, if they have complications, whether that's due to the age of their gestation when they're born or because something went wrong in pregnancy, or whether they have an issue, they come to us and we care for them. So my average day, I look after usually anywhere between 1 to 4 babies, sometimes more if I've got the cool nursery. And our jobs consist of nappy changing, feeding, but then the more crucial nursing things like respiratory support, monitoring of CPAP machines, but more importantly, encouraging and supporting families to be able to care for their own child. It is very frightening. I had a younger brother who had to stay in a NICU as well, so I've seen it from the family side. It's quite scary having a child in a NICU, and if any of you have ever had a child that's had to be cared by NICU nurses, you'll know what I mean. You've had a baby, and suddenly the baby's not in the room with you anymore. It's being cared by strangers that you don't know in another part of the hospital. And so part of my job is to be able to empower parents to take back the care of their children. Yes, us nurses do the more complex things like respiratory support, but being able to support parents in skin-to-skin care, which is amazing. The amount of great things that does for a child's brain development is amazing. But it's great for parents bonding, it's great for their confidence, and then they can go home and know that they can care for their child because they've had practice where there's, I guess, a safety net of the nurses in the NICU. So that's kind of my job in a nutshell there.
Very good. What's your career aspiration?
Well, if any of you are nurses here, big shout out to you. You will know that nursing is a very, very broad field. Since I've graduated, I've worked in surgical nursing. I have worked in aged care nursing, which a field in itself that deserves crazy respect. It is an incredibly hard area to work in. I've also worked as a primary care practice nurse out in a rural community in the far north where I was raised. And that, again, brings its own challenges, wide and diverse. So currently I'm in the NICU and I love it. But as I say, nursing is a wide field, and I hope someday to take the skills that I'm learning, the wide skills, including the emergency services training I get with St. John, to the third world or developing countries. My, I guess, strong desire, while I'm still able to do these things without dependence, is to be able to work in places like Papua New Guinea or Uganda or just anywhere in the world that needs a bit of nursing help. Just because why not? We're very, very privileged here in New Zealand to have the healthcare system that we have, and not everybody has that. So I'd love to be able to take it overseas.
Do you find time for some interests?
Strangely enough, I do. I don't know how I do. My friends say, you don't sleep. And I'm like, maybe I don't. I am a volunteer with St. John Ambulance Service. As if any of you were there last night, you would have heard. So with that, I work alongside a paramedic with St. John. St. John does amazing work through our nation. It's hugely supported by you guys. We get some of our funding from the government, but a lot of it is from the public and also from the amazing volunteers who provide time. They actually, we do a 12-hour shift, we don't get paid for it, but that is how we support St. John, and it's great. If any of you ever want to be a volunteer, I highly recommend it. I also do volunteer work as a nurse in a clinic in Dunedin that provides healthcare to less fortunate people or people who need a bit more support and can't afford it. So I'm speaking more of people that are homeless or with severe mental health issues that make it harder for them to access healthcare. We provide them a holistic care, not just nursing, but we have doctors, we've got a counsellor, we've got these alongsiders who go along with people to appointments for dentistry, mammography, anything, you name it, to support these people to be able to access the healthcare that they need to live well. But apart from that, which is my crazy kind of work life to say, I love hiking. So last year I did the Camino to Santiago, part of that trail. I walked 1,373 kilometers on my own through Europe, tenting most of the time, fending off wild pigs, being horrified by donkeys in the middle of the night. It's a horrible sound. Foxes, squirrels, just everything. Thankfully no crazy Frenchmen because my knowledge of the language is not that great. So I do that here in New Zealand as well, and I do that to de-stress. I play the harp, I spin, I make my own clothes, whenever I have time, which isn't often.
Occasionally you do sleep.
Yeah, occasionally.
Let me change gears with you now. Let me change gears and ask a series of questions that we talked about again and again. If you look back on the more recent history of Ireland, there's been a lot of change there, and Ireland has suddenly emerged, or emerging, as this very progressive nation. Freedom of marriage, right to choose. What do you think has brought that about? This progression, this change in modern, recent Ireland?
That's a very good question. I would guess it's the same as it is anywhere. I mean, in New Zealand, we have been through some similar stages ourselves. I would say that for Ireland as well as New Zealand, we are a nation that has known some strife. We are a nation that is bicultural, multicultural. I mean, Ireland is not just Irish people anymore, is it? There are every nation. Ireland is so welcoming that there are people of many cultures and many nations residing now in Ireland. And so I guess there needs to be room for them to be who they are as well, which is the same here in New Zealand.
Very good. Now, you've lived up in Portrush, Northern Ireland. And translation, that's not Ireland. Okay. Considering the impact of Brexit, what do you think a hard border would do to Northern Ireland and the island of Ireland?
I just want a disclaimer first. Having been raised in a household with an Irish Catholic mother and an English Protestant father, we've never discussed religion or politics. We just don't do that. However, I would say that it could cause some horrible strife, reawakening of wounds that really should not be touched. And I really hope that whatever the decision is between Brexit, that Northern Ireland and Ireland will be able to remain united as a family and as a country, even if they have two very different kind of belongings, that they can still be like, we are Irish, even if we are Northern Irish or we are Southern Irish, we're still family. And I hope that happens.
Okay. Now, I work in a company with a lot of people younger than me. And I keep hearing about millennials getting a bad rap. Do you think millennials get a bad rap in general? And if so, why is that?
Well, I'd like to say that I don't think I'm a millennial, being that I was born before the year 2000. I claim the 90s charm. However, I feel like we do, young people today, and those who are millennials, not me, we do get a rap that we are quite self-obsessed, that we are quite entitled, and that we expect things to be just given to us. And I feel like that might be an echo of society, where our parents and our grandparents had to work very hard for what was theirs. I mean, you mentioned Hugh Green. He came here and he dug ditches and he founded a company. But that was on the sweat of his own brow and the blood, I guarantee, of the blisters of his own hands. And we've somehow missed that. We have technology, we've been provided before by our ancestors, and we've kind of missed that step. And if we do have narcissistic tendencies, an inability to look outside our own bubble, that might be why. Because we haven't ever had to. We've taken for granted the freedom and I guess the luxuries of life that we have gotten through our ancestors, yeah.
Very good. This is a question you might like to think about for about 3 seconds. Who do you think is going to win the World Cup this year?
Personally think, and you can just judge and decide as you like. I mean, I am a big supporter of the All Blacks, and I do think that they're awesome and amazing. And my great uncle Jack was a great supporter of the All Blacks. I once asked him, you don't support Ireland? He's like, that's because the All Blacks always win, they're the best in the world. Since my Uncle Jack has passed away, Ireland is turning in his grave, I'm not quite sure which. However, if it came down between Ireland and the All Blacks, I would be happy if either of them won, but I would probably be cheering for Ireland because I'd be very amazed and very proud of them, and I think internationally we would also be very proud of them for that achievement.
Very good. Final question. If you were to be selected tonight as New Zealand's Rose of Tralee and represent all of us here in Tralee, what would that mean to you?
Ooh, it would be an absolute honour and an absolute privilege. I would feel very inadequate to the task. There are so many amazing people here. I mean, the lovely ladies that organised this event, the work that they've done is amazing. Your Irish societies who hold on to your culture and your heritage and you teach it to your children, like these young ladies that were dancing tonight. Tears to my eyes, because I love seeing people being able to cherish and enjoy their culture. It is part of who we are, and we have every right to celebrate it. And all of you are wonderful representatives of that. And so for me to be an ambassador of that would blow me away, but I would feel inadequate to the task, because I would probably say that I feel like any one of you guys would be much more suited to that than myself. Yeah.
Very good, thank you, Rose. Antoinette from Otago. Give her a big round of applause.